What's up, everyone? We are back with some more modern action. We're back, of course, because we were doing some legacy action over the weekend. Thank you to everybody that tuned in to watch our coverage of the Four Seasons Legacy event. It was a phenomenal time that we got to have, being able to do the, of course, Italian Legacy Invitational on Saturday, and then the Four Seasons Spring Open event with 330 players that got to participate in that event. So, I had a blast being able to watch and talk about Legacy all weekend, but now we're back into Modern, and this is going to be a fun one because we've got some new unbanned cards. I say new, within the last month or so, these cards have been unbanned. Not Ragavan or Subtlety that we're seeing on the channel here on the screen right now, but in the sense of the Stoneblade deck got Jeskai back, and then Living End got access to Violent Outburst. So let's talk through what these decks can do as we get into this match in particular. Of course, we were going to be doing more and more coverage on the channel. Of course, we've got non-gameplay stuff that you guys got to see if you didn't check out our Monday episode of turning a collection into modern decks. We'll be doing a full recap of the Four Seasons stuff coming up and starting to break down a couple of those games for you if you want to see some more legacy content, and then just the sprinkling of other good stuff on the channel. So make sure you guys are checking out all the stuff that we've got to offer. Throw up a playlist, put it on in the background, just listen to us yap away. So right now the debate here is whether or not the Ragavan should go on the top or the bottom off the Subtlety. But so here's how this working. Jeskai Stoneblade, we featured it about a month or so ago when Jeskai got unbanned. It is sitting here and going to be trying to generate value off these things like Stoneforge Mystic to be able to get cool equipment, and then you're just going to be able to have access to looping them and doing stuff like that. So Jeskai, because we get access to some removal spells, some Ragavans, some powerful things like that. Of course, these lists are available on our Mox field. You could check the description down below to kind of find out more info on any of the decks that we've got on the channel. On the other side of thing, Living End, it had kind of leaned very heavy into the Sultai side of things because of Wistfulness and the new elementals that came out in Lorwyn, and then they said Violent Outburst is fine. Let's to go cascaded instant speed. You're fine. Go have fun. And now red is back in the mix for Living End because Violent Outburst is colorless, red, green, instant speed, buffing your creatures by +1 attack, but really we care about the cascade stuff. So this Living End deck has been featured on and off on the channel over the years, and we are going to see it again tonight because the goal of it is to throw big, dumb creatures. Maybe they're not dumb. We used to know as like the draft chaff, the fatties that are just like 7 mana that nobody wants to use that have a cycle effect. Less of those. Now it's very heavily into these elementals and stuff like that. So there's a discussion about, type 3, type 1, I can never keep track of the different types of Magic when they used to refer to it as like extended and standard, and all these used to have very specific names for it and stuff like that. So we've got a surveil going on off the, of course, surveil land. One of these days I'll learn all the names of the surveil lands, but even when I'm like playing the game and I'm fetching them up, I'm just I'm going to fetch for my surveil land, and then, surveil trigger, all right? That's the other thing. I was playing with my buddy Darian at our weekly there, and made a comment of, he's very particular about announcing all of the chances, all the triggers now, after doing a little bit more RC grinding, to just be like, this is your opportunity to respond. If you don't respond in this, then you're telling me that it's okay and I can move to my next thing that I'm doing because I will continue to have priority to do the things. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good, when you get back into like that tournament grind and doing Magic that way, that's definitely a way to think about it. We talk about it all the time. There's that difference when you're doing weeklies and stuff like that, where you're just like, or gaming with your friends, where you can do a little bit more loosey-goosey compared to these kind of more hardcore RC grinds and bigger events and stuff like that. But even then, in this case, we try our best to keep things on track for you guys, to kind of maintain and manage, because the channel is not only for learning specific decks that we've got, but also improving as a player. People that are showcased are from our LGS, of course. So if you're considering coming out and playing on Tuesdays, we're also got legacy content coming out on Fridays, or at least the tournament's going to start up in July. So I'm excited to be able to start playing. Of course, I'm playing some Infect. I'm also, that blue-white Felia list is looking really nice to me. Running 4 main board stifles, yes. Yes, I do want to do that. That sounds wonderful. For me, for you, maybe not, but proxy friendly, so there'll probably be some Tron and some other things like that. So, play your candelabras and all that fun stuff. But we see a lot of the kind of just slow delay. This is also the thing about the living in elements of we're going to try to just sort of be patient. But here is the cheat in of Meteor Sword using Stoneforge's ability. ETB, destroy target permanent. So it's basically like, which land do we care more about? Because we can destroy it. And we see we'll do a little bit of cycling with the Curator of Mysteries. Help us draw a card. And yeah, that's fine. That's destroyed. Pass turn. Cycle a Street Wraith here. Lose some life. Draw a card. Misty. Yeah, so it's like, I think the difference too between like the Sultai Living End list compared to this one is there was a lot more of those cycle creatures and things like that that existed before, and that is kind of shifted now because you've got the Ent to be able to get some forests, and then you've got the Oliphant to get some mountains. But on the other side, this is another big reason why you could run the Jeskai Stoneblade list. We see Quantum Riddler going to get cheated into play, utilizing that warp cost, but we're spending a red and a blue, and then we're going to be doing for the Felia. That's going to get met with a response, because if that was going to be able to go off, we'd get the Felia to be able to attack the same time that the Riddler is, blink the Riddler, Riddler stays around, or if we wanted to, we could blink the Blade, but we see Subtlety is going to put a stop. That Felia is going to go to the bottom there. Bring the beats. Now, 3 mana is the scary count that you have to worry about against a Living End list. Right? Shardless Agent costs 3 mana. Violent Outburst costs 3 mana. So that's the one that you have to be most scared about. So if you're a Chalice deck, you got to have 6 mana to do your Chalice. But there are ways to interact with it, especially in a Jeskai list. Consign to memory, #1 card. You can sit here and consign the trigger to Cascade and put a stop to it that way. I mean, there's a reason why Consign is like the #1 card in all the sideboards and all the stuff that people are running, whether you're playing Legacy or Modern. It's just like, yeah, this card's so good. There's so many things that you want to be able to hit with this. So we'll see if that is going to be the case. Sometimes it's not always like a turn 3. Sometimes you do it on turn 4, turn 5. I mean, in a way, this is going to be turn 4 because one of the lands was destroyed. Will we find the missing land? Maybe. Oh, the Surveil lets us find something to put into the graveyard. Most likely going to be a creature there. All right. Riddler going to get sent away into that warp zone, into that exile zone to come back later. Breeding Pool going to 8. That's not a good sign. Which one is it? A Shardless Agent. Do we have a way to respond to it? Not when we're tapped out. We could be having access to like Solitudes and things like that, but that doesn't really help us when we are cascading into this Living End, wiping the board. There's only 1 creature, but Stoneforge goes away. This is first, we got to do it in the correct order. Each player exiles all cards in their graveyard. Then they sack all their creatures, and they put the cards that are in exile onto the battlefield. We just get so used to basically saying, hey, swap. What do you got? You got creatures in your graveyard? Put them into play, right? And vice versa. But technically, if you're doing it based off the rules, and now we can decide about this Shardless Agent, it's still in the stack, so Subtlety lets us be able to put it on the top or the bottom. This little nuance thing that we get to start doing as a Living End deck. That's really cool to be able to see, and really frustrating and annoying if you're on the receiving end of that, of going, oh, if I just so happen to find a way to get rid of all this, there could be another Cascade coming soon. But that's a lot to have to deal with. Of course, you see the math. It's basically kind of going through and go, how much can I get hit by? There's a lot of flying here. What can I do to set myself up for success? Can I absorb a hit or not? Attempt to play a Ragavan. Seems fine. Let's fetch down 16 here. And then we'll be passing after we find casting whatever we're going to be doing. Oh, no, equipping. Okay. Okay. Only sending the flyers. Here's 10 damage. I like that. So that's cool that you've got your Ragavan. I'm not worried about it. Let's draw. Now we can sit here and cast our Riddler if we had another blue source. Oh, we don't have another blue source? Oh, we do. Wait. We don't have another blue source. Cheating step. Judge. I'm pretty sure that's the red-white one. Red-white one. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We were drawing a card. Couldn't find a way out of there. So, yeah, not enough to get there. So it doesn't even matter. Irrelevant there. So there we go. Game number 1 going to Living End. That's the thing about the Living End deck is sometimes if you're just trying to play a fair deck like this Jeskai Stoneblade is, it's just
we're interrupting our gameplay to let you know about our new affiliate with Nerd Gear. nerdgear.gg/nanman will take you directly to the website, and as you can see, they've got a bunch of awesome gaming accessories from playmats, life counters with the life tracks, playmat holders, and more. So make sure you do some browsing on the site, find some goodies, and then use the code NGNanman for 5% off your entire order. But let's get back to our gameplay.
All right, let's jump into it. Of course, check out the website. There are sleeves, there's deck boxes, all kinds of stuff. I think there's a Father's Day sale going on right now, too, so you can be interested in getting even more discount besides the 5% off you get for using our code NGNanman. But a little bit of mulligan here in game number 2 as these players get themselves positioned and ready to go. But yeah, Living End is very powerful, but it is very straightforward. I've played it a couple times. The idea of the deck is fun, especially if you like some of the nuance elements in some of the cards. But you know, it's tough. I think I would rather play the Jeskai Stoneblade deck, but also I played the Stoneblade deck a couple of times. I was playing like a blue-white one, and I don't know. You guys, let me know. What do you feel? Did the Jitte do anything in Modern? I don't think it actually did. So I think we're in that point of going, hey, perfectly fine and fair. With how power crept Modern is, right? Does the Ragavan resolve this time? It got hit with a subtlety last time. Going to get hit with a subtlety this time. And actually getting rid of the Shardless agent is really good here. It's good for the Jeskai Stoneblade player to go, okay, you're getting rid of one of those pieces. Also, the commitment to get rid of the Ragavan makes total sense. You know how powerful this is. It ramps the Stoneblade player. It can disrupt what you're going to draw because it starts exiling important tools that you might need, whether it is a Cascade creature, whether it's a big creature that you want to reanimate from the graveyard, whether it's your Living End altogether, right? Like this sort of way to strip away pieces that you can't control is really, really scary. So finding ways to kind of deal with that is important. Now we see this really cool. I've talked about this with a Living End player about, you know, the Mistrise Village here. This, like, the next spell you cast is uncounterable, right? This way to sort of interact and stop your opponents from messing with you. But we see Ophelia attempted to get dropped in here, and that is not going to be met with a subtlety. No Warped In Riddler or anything here. We see... Okay, Waker of Waves. I was like, oh, what are we doing? Look at the top 2 cards. Put one of them into your hand, the other into your graveyard. So yeah, there's a lot more of these types of cards that exist now. That a lot, like they've existed for a while, but it's like these sort of tools that Living End players are trying to find here. Now, if you're looking to try to play a Jitte style deck, I think the Jeskai Stoneblade is a really good way to do it. I tried the blue-white. It's fine. I just don't know if there's a world. Like, I'm trying... Actually, where I am trying it out right now is in my Dimir Fairy list. As just a one-of, right? It's a utility card that I can run in that list because I've got evasive creatures. I can sit here and gain some life. I can pump for some damage. the gaining life is actually pretty relevant because of like bitter blossoms and stuff like that. But I haven't played that list in a little while. I played it a couple weeks ago, and I think I got completely stomped. It's a fun list, but it is not the best some weeks. I mean, that's the challenge, right? Of like what deck is going to be powerful and fun. And we've got that nice mix at our LGS of here are meta decks, here's off meta decks, here's just this brew that people did, and ooh, Ashiok is really nice. Ashiok is going to be met with a Force of Negation, though. And that's why the list runs Force of Negation. You'll see sometimes like budget list will not run it, but moments like that of like, oh, this will shut down my strategy, I need more protection to do that. And so pass turn there, you see the Violent Outburst in hand, so we have ways to kind of go about trying to protect ourselves and combo off here, or at least cascade off here. Ooh, Orum's Chant, this is really good. So Violent Outburst is going to be played, Cascade Trigger, we're going to do our Orum's Chant. So that's another great way to try to put a stop to it. But the second Force of Negation.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you said that one. I'm sorry. Yeah, 19, 20. I couldn't draw any lands. I was forcing my deck to get them to
Because I drew the Surveil land into the Surveil land, and it's like I can't Orum's Chant you to then resolve my Ashiok, and it's like I either force you to have it or I die. So I guess we're going now.
But are they so cute?
That was a really good way of thinking about it, right? It's like if they drew into a non-tap land there, they would be able to have Orum's Chant to make sure the Ashiok resolved, right? We saw the Orum's Chant's really good because they're like, oh, I'm going to cast this spell, and now you can't cast your second spell. The Cascade can resolve, but you won't actually resolve the Living End, right? But you see great bit of tools brought in sideboard wise for both players. You like this is like almost like a go-to guaranteed seeing for Living End players is to bring in like the vigors, because the Force of Vigors, because there's often artifact and enchantment graveyard hate that players are bringing in. In this case, we see as Planeswalker hate, and that's why it's like we got to make sure that doesn't resolve. But so many tools brought in because you need all of that sort of stuff in this matchup. It's such an interesting dynamic of like, I don't believe that's an over-sideboarding situation. I believe it's you need enough tools because it's a very specific thing that your opponent is doing, and you're not necessarily diluting your game plan, because we saw the attempted Ragavan, we saw the attempted Felias. Like the core of the game plan is still there, and we just need a way to kind of stop our opponent in their track, and that's the priority there, like post sideboard there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think of the decks, of the gameplay. Of course, we are going to be having more gameplay for you guys coming up soon, so make sure you're staying tuned every Monday and Thursday for more gameplay action. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in and watching, y'all, and I'll see you all next game.